Hi, thank you for watching Friday Fat Chat. Welcome to the Fat Woman of Color YouTube channel. And on Fridays, we do Friday Fat Chat, which is an opportunity for us to center Black and Brown women of size in conversation. Fat Woman of Color was created to amplify the voices of Black and Brown women of size, and to create collective as well as family, sisterhood, all of that. And then we created Friday Fat Chat. It was an opportunity for us to spotlight, interview, have live conversation with Black and Brown women of size. And so that's what we're here for today. And that's what Friday Fat Chat is about. So first things first, I always want to say I pop a freak all the honeys. Y'all. That always want to say that every time I say that. But first things first, thank y'all for being here. We want you to participate in the show. The way you can do that is that if you look at your comment section below the video, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, you can type in the comments. We can see what you're typing. And it will give us the opportunity to participate. You can participate in the show. You can ask questions, you can give us some yes and some A or whatever you're feeling, just like share your energy with us. So you can do that during the show by typing in the comments. And yes, shout out your city. Here we go. All right. Shout out your city. Tell us where you're from by posting it in the chat. That's sort of a tradition that we've started because we have people from all over the world. Literally, even our guests are from all over the globe. So our guests too. So we want those who are watching to let us know where you're watching from, your city, your country, your hood, whatever. Rep yourself. So we want to say thank you to our sponsors, which is Calabash Tea. Fat Women of Color's executive offices are in Washington, D.C. And so Calabash DC as well, and are a sponsor of Fat Women of Color and Friday Fat Chat. And so how they're sponsoring us is that they give us this code, which is FWOC. And if you use it when you order something, they'll give you 10% off your order every time. They're awesome. It's not just your first order, but every time you order, they'll give you 10% off. And donate a portion of the sales towards Fat Women of Color and Friday Fat Chat. So what do they have over there? They have tea, they have coffee, they have, just before the show, I was blessing a space with some Palo Santo that came from them as well. They have sage. I've got sage here that I got from them. They have tinctures. They have all kind of soaps, all kind of things for you to take care of your holistic well-being. So calabashtea.com. Hey Yolanda, thank you for joining us. As Yolanda is part of the Fat Women of Color membership community, and she was a moderator there as well. So it's good to see that you're joining us and you're watching live. All right, I'm not going to delay the show any longer. I want to get to our featured guest so we can have as much time as possible to chat. So our featured guest has been interacting with her Instagram for some time now, and just me personally on my personal page, Ivy Felicia, and I've seen the work that she's doing in creating communities and space for women of color, and so that piqued my interest. Also, she blogs and does so many other things, but I'm going to let her tell you more about who she is and what she does. But welcome, Ari.
Hi, Ivy, how
Hey,
are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you. You're looking awesome today. I'm looking beautiful. Love your background.
Thank you. Yeah, I tried to get the peaceful vibes going, but you are as well. And I have to start off by thanking you and everyone involved at Fat Women of Color for inviting me here and allowing me to share your platform and share my story. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. So tell us where you're from. We always like to ask our featured guests because we get people from everywhere. So tell us where you're speaking, well, where you're originally from and where you're speaking from right now.
Yes, so I'm actually from and speaking from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's my hometown, born and raised. I've been here all my life. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I'll ever leave because I really feel like Pittsburgh needs progressive Black folks to progress the city. So it's kind of I kind of feel like it's my duty to stay here at this point. So hi Danielle.
Okay, there we go. You froze. Somebody froze for, for
Oh
a second. So I lost you. But we have your is this your friend Danielle who's watching and saying, "Hey,
yeah,
Ari"?
yeah. Hey Danielle, how are you? Yes, she's if this is who I believe because she doesn't use her last name like that on social. She does a lot of body empowerment and body positive shows and movements, and so I'm not surprised, but I am very happy that she is here.
Awesome. So you said that you love Pittsburgh, feel like it's progressive for Black folks.
Actually, I don't feel like it's progressive for Black folks. I
Okay,
don't.
okay.
I feel like it needs to be, but
It
I feel
needs
like
to
the
be okay.
people and the I feel like the people and the voices that are here right now are really positioning the city to become um, a pivotal place for Black people. We have some amazing grassroots workers, politicians. In fact, we just for the preliminaries, we just elected the first Black mayoral candidate for the Democratic Party in Pittsburgh. So we actually have a Black mayor on the ticket, on the main ticket this year, which is the first time we've ever done that. And Pittsburgh is only 25% Black. So that's a pretty big deal. I'm very, 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 very happy with that turnout. So I'm excited to see that momentum continue in my city, which is, again, why I don't really want to leave.
Yeah. So that you'd like to see happen there.
To be honest with you, so you and if you know your viewers don't know, but so may I do a little intro? I'm sorry,
Sure.
I didn't do that. So my name, everyone, is Ari Alex. I am from Pittsburgh. I'm um a blogger, an influencer, and a speaker. And the work that I do revolves around creating inclusive spaces to have to discuss and follow through, put into play, put into place programs that essentially target equitable inclusion solutions, right, based in body, racial, and gender diversity. So basically I try to work with people and speak to people about being inclusive, being diverse, and across race, gender, and body, right? So in that, the reason why I do that is because I am a fat Black woman, right? So there's three super pivotal roles for me that intersect and add to my identity. So um, with that, you know, there's clearly a problem in Pittsburgh, and it's not like it is one of it's been ranked as the most livable city in America based on cost of living and what you're paid and all of those things, and that may be the case, but if we focus on just the Black population here, that certainly isn't the case. And there's no reason why, because we have these resources here, but for some reason, those resources aren't reaching the people in the city that we need them to. So, with that being said, in 2018, I started a community organization called the Queenpin Collective. And ultimately, the Queenpin is a space to celebrate Black femininity, to harness and heal and grow your strength, your power, um, who you are, and just connect with other like minded women of color because so often we don't have those spaces where we're able to be vulnerable, or we're able to express how we feel and emote in a healthy way, you know? So I really wanted to create that. With that being said, coming back to your question about what other goals I have for Pittsburgh, my goal with the Queenpin is to truly create a safe space for Black women here. I, in a perfect world, would love to have like something much like the Essence Fest here in Pittsburgh every year. You know, I would love it to be a place where Black women come for refuge, and for us to be able to turn the do a complete 180 on the way the city is viewed right now. Um, it is that way for Black people, but especially for Black women. And the ironic part of that, as it is probably in almost any situation, is Black women are the ones that are fighting the hardest right now in this city. You know,
Yeah.
so we're here, we're doing what we're doing it. I mean, there are some phenomenal, like I said, phenomenal people in the city that are truly putting in the work, and I believe that we can do it. Um, but it takes time, it takes patience, it takes persistence, and understanding. And those are things that I feel like, because I've lived here my whole life, I have, and why I want to pour so much back into the city. So if we can get Pittsburgh to a place where, you know, there's like an annual like even the Queenpin, an annual conference where Black women come for refuge and validation and security and just to be seen, you know, I honestly, the space doesn't have to do much more than that, because that's what we need, you know.
Yeah. And that, honestly, that is a lot. And that, I think that as Black women, especially and those of us who are community curators and things like that, and we have like so many visions of things that we want to do, and I think that sometimes we can not realize like all that we're already doing and like the ways that we're making impact. And it sounds like all the things that you're talking about and the things that you've done already is a lot. Like it's already like created a lot in the world, just just the change that you've created within your community space. And so even if you didn't do like one, not near other thing, you've already done a lot and you've already done enough. And
Ooh.
that has that comes up for me because I feel like over the past maybe year, it's just really been coming up for me that those of us who do visionary and activism work, particularly Black and Brown women, um, we look forward a lot, right? We're looking forward to what we want to do. And a lot of times we don't pause to realize what we've already done and to give ourselves like kudos for just doing that shit, right? Just like we already did a lot. So that was just like on my spirit to just tell you that even if you don't do anything else, you've already done enough. All the things that you're saying, yes, and I'm, supporting you in all of that, but just to know that you've already done enough.
And that means a lot coming from you. Thank you.
You're
We got,
welcome.
we still got, I got work to do. But I
Yeah.
truly, truly appreciate that. That means a lot. Like I said, coming from you, I just love you.
Yeah. Thank you. And I love you
Mhm.
too. And I love, and I want to create more space for us to, first of all, to celebrate each other like we just did. And to be okay with what we've done and to know that we're already accomplished and anything else that we do is like icing on the cake and it's a bonus for ourselves and for the world, right?
Mhm.
Because I think that, do you feel that narrative ever as being a Black woman, that there's a narrative that there's a lot for us to do and we always have to be doing a lot?
Right. And so that's one of the reasons why I said the space doesn't have to do much more than just be a safe space, because we
Yeah.
do everything already, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
truly why. That's what we need. And I recently remember talking to my mom and saying, there's so much to do. There's so much to do, and I can handle it, but I don't always want to. And
Mm.
it's not about not wanting to do the work. It's about just sometimes I want to be tended to. Sometimes I want to be cared about, right? And I feel like with Black women in particular, there is this resiliency and this strength that we're always praised for, which is great. It's awesome to be strong. It's awesome to be resilient. It's awesome to be a warrior. But we're so much more than that. And
Mm.
just because we're Black women, yeah, it's inherently in us. But that doesn't mean that we have to do that and that we have to be dedicated to continuous trauma. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, So I 100% agree with what you're saying. I've actually more so started getting into investing in yourself as a form of self care.
Yep.
Um, because if you don't know, who will? If we don't, who will? Certainly not the world. That's been proven already. So it's really important to take the time, carve out time for yourself. And that's really, wow, like a large reason why the Queen Pin exists, because
Mm.
it's to carve out space so that you realize, one, you're not alone. You have people that a lot of times I feel like our experiences are invalidated because we are, let's just be honest, at the bottom of the priority poll.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of times I think that our perspectives aren't told, our stories aren't told, we're not seen and heard the way that we need to be in order to create change or to be considered. Our opinions and experiences aren't considered in order to, to elicit change. And with that, this is why we need these spaces. This is
Mm.
why I love, love, love Fat Women of Color. I appreciate that you show Black women, fat Black women enjoying luxury. I appreciate that you show fat Black women being unapologetically themselves on the beaches, at the pools, in their swimsuits, crop top, short shorts, or full on, spiritual wear, or whatever. Like, it just shows us in our glory being who we are. And that's one of the things that I truly appreciate, because that's just not something that's seen in regular imagery. And
Yeah.
it's quite sad. It makes you feel like you're not important, or your experiences don't count, or they're not relevant to the world we live in, when in fact we we create the world that we live in, like
Mm.
the trends, the culture, the everything in art I give back to Black women.
Yeah.
Everything, fashion, painting, music, like everything. I truly do. um
Yeah.
um and especially trans Black women.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, these spaces
Yeah.
are very necessary.
You're intentionally creating this space with Queenpin Collective, and when you're talking about how much Black women contribute to society, society, history, culture, art, education, healing. Like, I mean, we can list it, right? All the things. And it makes me think of a quote from that I had posted like maybe over a year ago, because it was when we were planning the second take up space. And it was just like an aha moment. And I don't know if you've ever heard the quote where it's like, I don't want to light myself on fire to keep other people warm. And it was similar to that, where it was, like, I'm tired of setting a table for other people to eat while I starve. And I feel like that's what what we're talking about here, right? That we do is, um Black women would just like giving to the world and to culture, and like you said, setting the trends and all of this. But at the same time, we starve, and whether that is literal, like physical, spiritual, emotional, relational, um there's not spaces that are intentionally created for us.
Right.
That's what you're doing. And a lot of other people are coming up now saying, okay, wait, what about our spaces? Like that just focus on what we need and focus on us and taking care of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very, very important. And so here's the thing, right? Like I said before, we're kind of the bottom priority. Like, I feel like in my mind, and I'll explain this, just so everyone knows what kind of foundational standpoint I'm at. I feel like the priority for America is, first of all, rich white men, right?
Yeah.
Rich white men, period. Then white men, then rich white women, then white women, and then black men, or we'll even say rich black men, and then and then so forth and so forth. It's all the way down, and
Yeah.
black women would be at the bottom. Specifically those with intersecting identities, such as being a trans black woman or a member of the LGBTQ community in general, but specifically trans black women. Um, um, Fat black women, just with those with whatever other intersecting identities you have as a black or brown woman. It just kind of puts you lower and lower. And I feel like um, because we're at the bottom, we understand the work a little bit differently, right? We
Mm,
understand that this work is it's gonna progress us, but in everything that progresses us, the world benefits from, right? So like
mm,
even if we do make progress and we're like, okay, well, this is what we wanted and we have it now, that means that everyone else is going to benefit because they're at a higher level priority for
mm,
America. And the
mm.
example here is Juneteenth. Okay. The example here is Juneteenth. We didn't need to
Yeah.
give white people the day off to
Yeah.
celebrate. We could have started with police reform. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We could have started with just creating spaces and equitable opportunities for black women. Like we could have
Yeah.
just started, or black people. And so that's that's like a prime example of how everyone benefits when we do. Yeah, it took.
Mm,
I mean, I've been celebrating Juneteenth my entire life. We, it's been well known, at least among my friends and family, for as long as I can remember. Um, and so now it's getting a little bit more popular, and now it's cool to not be racist. And
right.
so everybody's like, yeah, Juneteenth, their little like kente cloths that were probably made by white people, right? So, and there, there's kneeling down at the Capitol, all that extra stuff, right? And it's like this was something. Okay, this was something for black people, and it's cool, but everybody else benefits from it because now everybody else gets a paid holiday off or whatever, however
Mm-hmm.
you want to. And guarantee you it's going to get real colonized real quick with like people walking around in dashikis or something, just like they do with Cinco de Mayo. You know what I'm saying? um
Mm,
and so I'm really interested to see how that all plays out. Or like I know there's going to be I'm trying to keep my energy clear, but I'm preparing myself for racist memes like, oh, it's Juneteenth. Like I can see people saying like, oh, it's Juneteenth. Like, did you eat like your like the racist things like
yeah.
watermelon today, or did you like? I'm waiting for it because I know it's gonna come from from out there somewhere in the internet corner. Um, and when I say I'm waiting for it, I mean I'm preparing for it because I know it's coming, and it's something that I'm preparing for because I don't want it to take away from the value of this day for me.
Yeah.
This is something, like I said, that I've always celebrated. Um, but going back to, it advances everyone, right? It pushes everyone. When affirmative action came out, yeah, it was for black people, but who benefited the most? White women. White women,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So um, it's really almost self-sabotage if you don't help us, or if you're not listening to us and allowing us the space and elevation to push the movement forward, because we understand it on a different level, because we see everybody else getting prioritized before us.
Yeah, like I'm just like everything you're saying. It's resonates so deeply that I just have like faces to make. I don't know if I have words. So if you are listening, I'm just like making all the expressions. Like that's what's happening because it's just so much yes and so many things that are just like, yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, Um I was thinking about that actually yesterday, which is the irony, which you're talking about this. But just in relation to that, right, which again was something else that was started by hold on a second. I think I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a connection issue. All right. Not today, Satan. We're
Right.
gonna talk about
Not right now. Not right now. We're about to get good.
We have shit to talk about.
Right.
But I was thinking about this yesterday in regards to fat liberation, which again is something else that Black and brown people started, right? And how now that's become trendy. It started out as as fat liberation. Then it became body positivity. Now it's back to fat liberation. And so many people, so many people co-opted the damn fat liberation. It became body positivity, and now I see straight sized people, even thin people, who are building a platform off of, oh, I'm learning to love my body, body positivity. It's okay, especially pandemic. It's okay if if I gain some weight, and I'm learning how to be at peace with my body. And it's like, wait, full stop. We've been talking about this shit for a long time and doing so much work to get the message out there. But because you actually live in a fat body and you're talking about fat liberation, it's like, okay, whatever. But if a skinny white straight size or thin privileged person talks about it, their platform is like, bing, bing, oh my God, yes, oh yes, I never heard this before. And it's like, wait a minute, we've been saying this shit. Have we not been saying this for long? Were we not already talking about this? And that's what I think about when you're saying that, like, we've been doing this work, even if just to free ourselves, right? To honor ourselves and to be like, I deserve to be here. I deserve to take us to be seen and respected, even if it's just for that. And then all that work that we've been doing and we did, now other people hopped on the bandwagon and it's like, oh, yes, don't talk about my body. Don't talk about my fupa, which is like this small, and you have to, bend down to make it be seen. No, we're talking about people who are actually being denied access, and those types of things is what we've been talking about for years. But now for people who, as you say, are at the top of the pyramid, now it's trendy for those people who are empowered to talk, or in power, who sit with the privilege to talk about it. Now they can benefit from it and they're making money off of it. But for us, it was literally an existence issue. It was literally like, we deserve to exist and to be safe and to have access to shit. I'm going to get off my...
No, but sure, everything you're saying is right? It's not even a rant. You're just talking facts at this point. Like, you're 100% right. And so, yeah, and then so not only it takes me back to the mindset of so many things. It takes me back to just how racism works as a system, right? How it works to benefit those it's meant to benefit. Yeah. And even whenever those it's not meant to benefit start to benefit, others benefit more, right? And that's just how it's always going. Well, that's how it's always been. I hope that's not how it's always going to be. Yeah. But that goes back to really understanding how the system works and why we have to understand it to dismantle it.
Mm.
Because it does fall on us, majority. We're the ones that carry the burden. And so, like, whenever you were talking, I was thinking about Caitlyn Jenner. I was thinking about the privilege that she possesses to even be Caitlyn Jenner. And
Mm.
if she weren't in a space to have the privilege that she has had in life, she probably wouldn't have been able to become her most liberated self. Which I'm very happy to see and to see progression in that. But she's a wonderful example because she took advantage of the opportunity to become her best self, her most high vibrating self, um, or what have you, but still is not using that understanding to elevate other people or even to empathize with those who may have a similar journey as her.
Yeah.
And it's merely because of her privilege that she is
Mm.
able to be who she wants to be. And I think about cannabis. Like, don't get me started. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
about, like, I know people that are still in jail,
Yep.
um while you see, Molly and Katie practicing yoga, hitting a bowl live on TV. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know um yeah. So I said, whenever, I don't know if you heard me, but while you were talking, I got goosebumps because, like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And it's really what really makes it pivotal is that people are building careers off of this
Yep.
stuff. People are getting paid off
Yes.
of this stuff.
Well,
And so,
paid
like, when we
well.
think about paid, do you hear me?
Yes.
And when we think about equity, right, and inclusive solutions, equitable inclusion solutions, those opportunities should not be to those that don't need them. Like,
Mm.
this isn't your opportunity, but you're
Yeah.
totally capitalizing on it. And that puts me in the back last year, when everyone was all black square, BLM, for their little bit of time that they were, and they wanted to, like, make everything like Black Lives Matter Boulevard and paint all the murals, but we still don't have police reform and all that fun, so all that performative stuff that we were doing last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's an artist in Pittsburgh who does murals, a black muralist, in Pittsburgh, well known, and we were like flabbergasted to see white folks doing BLM murals, getting paid by the city, getting
Mm.
paid by the city to do BLM murals, to paint Breonna Taylor murals, and, like, that's real sweet. It's real nice that her face is up there. It's nice that we want to remember her, but, like, why aren't we doing what's best as far as equity and creating opportunities? And that's what people don't understand, as far as, like, and that's why I talk about racism as a system, because that's the part that makes the difference. Like, you painting the mural doesn't mean you're not racist. You taking this money from a black artist that rightfully deserves to paint the mural is racist, you know
Yes.
but we're getting there. We're getting there in the city. And that's why I keep saying I got to stay here and I got to be here and I got to be able to do what I need to in the city. But those are the things that I primarily focus on, because those are the things that need to change and that people need to have a deeper understanding of. It's
Yeah.
not really about, like, performative shit. Like, let's just be honest. We don't give a fuck about that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need that. And rest in peace, Brianna. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of similarities that I see in that woman with a lot of my friends and even myself.
Yep.
Um and just, like, the lack of care. I mean, it was just like, it was basically, watching her story was like, this is how the world feels about you. And and
Mm-hmm.
if I'm being blatant, I'm not as deep toned as
Yeah.
Brianna was. So,
Yeah.
that I'm even in a I'll say a more privileged spot than
Yes.
she was based
Mm-hmm.
on appearance. Um, But when I think about that and I see how the response was with her case, and I see then everyone coming together to paint these murals and have her face on billboards, and it's like, that's real cool and all, but like, what about the things that are actually going to save our lives? What about, like, I keep saying police reform, but that's like my big thing right now, police reform. What about even, especially as fat Black women, the medical industry, like the health industry? Like,
Yes.
we 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 don't get the proper care that we need just because we are known to be able to take more pain. Like, basically is what you know what I mean, is what a lot of doctors believe. Oh, well, she can take the pain, so she'll do it. And I
Yep.
just said earlier, yeah, I can take it, but why should I have to just because I can?
Mm,
No. What, just because I'm a Black woman and I can, and my makeup is of that, I have to take this?
yeah.
No. That's how they started doing the experiments on women's genitals and things,
Yes.
like, what? And a lot of that stuff is still in today's medical industry, and the medical treatments,
Hmm.
and the way that they treat Black women. And then when you add the intersecting identity of fatness on it, right? Like, I can sit here and tell you what my fat white friends go through. They can't get they can't get properly tested if they have arthritis. They can't get proper treatment if they have arthritis or medicine or whatever, because they're like, oh, well, you need to lose weight first. Or they can't, if there's, I don't know, whatever issue there is, a lot of times it's brought back to, oh, well, you need to lose weight. You need to lose weight.
Yeah.
You need to lose weight. And it's like, no, I might really have arthritis, and you're
Yeah.
not doing your job. And you're doubly not doing your job because you think I can take the pain because I'm Black, a
Yeah.
Black woman, and because I'm fat.
Yeah.
So why don't we work on things like that are actually going to save lives,
Yeah.
that are actually going to make a difference in not only how Black women are perceived, but how we're accepted and tended
Mm,
to in this society? Can we get on that, and then maybe, like, we'll be happy about a mural. But I'm not about to sit up here and be happy that they made Juneteenth a holiday, and that the I don't know, landing space before the Capitol is called Black Lives Matter Boulevard, because in reality they still don't.
yeah.
Not to you all, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where all of my passion comes from.
Yeah.
I feel it right in here right now as I'm talking to you. Like,
That
that's where
fire.
it all comes from. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, things that, like, everything you're saying, it's all yay and amen and ashe to all of those things. Um, and in the meantime, dot, 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 ellipses. um, like, I know that the spaces that we've created, right, the communities that offer collective care, and where we nurture each other and we hold each other and we listen to each other, and we hype each other up, and all those kind of things are it priceless, because
Right.
in the meantime, while we wait for society to get its shit together, we're creating these experiences for people. And I know that one of the things that you've talked about, even recently in your blog, is just like, what does it look like to practice, like, self, to slow down and take the time to really heal, um because until, I sort of believe that no one's coming to save us. We're gonna have to do this shit ourselves. So if we're doing it ourselves, for people who are like, okay, what do I do now? Like, where do I start? Like, what do I do tomorrow? What do I do today? While this shit is like super heavy, and I'm tired, and I'm looking for love, and I'm looking for affection and acceptance and care and all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
How do we give those things to ourselves? And I know that that's something that you've been talking about lately, which is why I wanted to bring that up, because I know you've been talking about healing and self-care and self.
Yeah. And it's such an important thing. And I think, so this goes back to, like, the narrative of Black women, right? Like, we take on so much. And
Mm-hmm.
because we're known to and expected to take on so much, we kind of just push it on ourselves and keep moving. We kind of just,
Yeah.
excuse me. And I mean, I've seen examples of this from like children who have never healed from like maybe, I know it happens a lot in Black families and it's not discussed to the capacity that it needs to be, is molestation
Mm-hmm.
and kind of kind of allowing people to prey on us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even letting those who we think are protecting us, allowing others and them to prey on us. And that can be relational, you know, that can be in a toxic relationship, that can be familial. It can be, you know, several different things. But the first thing I would say, the first thing that popped in my head whenever you said that, what can I do now? What can I do if I'm doing this by myself and I need to heal myself or I need to stop and take some time? What can I do? Um, Two things: set boundaries and understand what you want, what you need. Understand what you need, not what you want. So that's sitting. This is like the boring part, right? This is sitting with yourself and reflecting. This is pain. This is part of the painful, the beginning of the painful part, if I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. Um, Reflecting on how you feel about yourself, being
Mm.
honest with yourself. And so many times we're not honest with ourselves to the point
Yeah.
that we don't even realize we're not honest with ourselves. We are just in our illusions. And that's one of the things that I was doing for a very long time. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that, you know, I was sexually assaulted in college. I was raped by a football player. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always thought that in time I'll heal. I'll be
Mm.
good. Like, but I never confronted those feelings of shame, those
Mm.
feelings of guilt, those feelings of not having self-worth or value, right? To the point that I remember thinking after I was assaulted, well, he was a football player and at least he
Mm.
wanted me. Like, you know what I mean? Like to that level. And whenever that's your mindset, I mean, it's almost expected that you wouldn't truly heal, right? Like you don't even value, there's just so much missing there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's something that, yeah, I recently started writing about more and talking about more because I think it's really important for us to understand the difference, one, between coping and healing,
Yeah.
and two, how to become self aware enough to call yourself out on the bullshit, you know? And I
Mm.
think it doesn't happen until you're ready. And I think there's a process that you have to go through as far as feeling your feelings and understanding yourself so that you can then kind of get out of that victim mindset.
Yes.
But um but that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Understanding what you need, being honest with yourself, and setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And if you can do those three things, you can finish the journey. If you can sit there and be honest, honestly, if you can sit there and be honest with yourself and call your and start to be like, okay, well, yeah, this is why I feel this way, but it's really because, I went through this, or I'm hiding, or yeah, I do like having, I'll give you my example. I do like having nice things. I do like luxury. I do like designer,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not where my value lies,
Mm.
right? And I was using those things to
Mm-hmm.
hold my value.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it was so empty. And whenever those things were stripped of me, whenever those things were taken from me, and I didn't have anything, and it brought me back to the the lowest point. And that's why I was like, okay, I feel exactly how I started. I feel exactly how I do when I started. This should not be the case.
Yeah.
What did I do? And I started by reflecting. Okay, well, why do I feel so? I'm still at first it would be like, well, I'm still pretty, but like my physical look is not what makes me pretty. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Well, I'm still smart, right? But it's because you have the insight and the kind character to see other people. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, I still have all of these things. I still have my own this and my own that, and I have this bag and I have that bag, and I drive whatever. And it's like, yeah, you do, but how does that add to you as a person, you know?
Mm.
And so, like, I was going through all of these things that I put so much value in because I felt myself not feeling valued. I wasn't feeling valued. I wasn't feeling worth even from myself.
Yeah.
And so I started, you know, what, okay, well, I have these things, so why don't I feel it? Because it doesn't come from those things. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, we all know that, to like textbook wise, we know that to be the case,
Yeah.
but it's different whenever you actually stop lying to yourself,
Yeah.
right? And then you become, whenever you stop lying to yourself, you become more self-aware, so you
Yeah.
become in tune with more of what you need, more of the things that you desire, more of the ways to lean into yourself. And then
Mm-hmm.
whenever you start to take those steps, then you start to set boundaries, right? You start to say, no, I don't want that in my energy. I'm
Mm.
over here and I've been really working hard, and I've been getting better, so I'm not going to put myself in a place where that energy is going to get messed up. It's almost like like it's almost like building brick by brick, right? You have to lay this foundation, and then you can build on top of it a little bit more and build on top of it a little bit more. But once you've gotten to a certain point, you're not going to let a bulldozer come over and to this, so that you have to start your brick by brick all over again, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so, and that's where the boundaries come into play. And I think that it kind of, you just, from there, things kind of start rolling and taking off, and you kind of start to trust yourself a little bit more, and your
Yeah.
instincts a little bit more, and your intuition a little bit more, and what you truly want and want to do, until you get to a point where you're like, oh, I got this. Not
Mm.
only am I the shit, but I came out of a shitty circumstance as a better person.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's a flex. That's a
Yeah.
flex. You come out of a circumstance that you had no control over, and you're still a better person,
Mm.
you know? And not everyone's built to do that.
Yeah.
So, but I think us, specifically us as Black women, do have a special, I don't want to say third eye, but something similar, where we're able to kind of understand the value more so now of pouring into ourselves. I think before we're putting that value on pouring into other people. And I
Yeah.
think as time goes on, collectively, we've kind of been starting. I'm seeing a lot more posts about Black girl luxury. I'm seeing a lot more posts about doing things that are just for you. About,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, and relationships is a big one, because so many times you see, ride it out, ride it out. You got to be a
Yeah.
rider. And that's what, if I'm being honest, that's what Black men expect from us, right?
Yeah.
You got to ride it out. You got to, oh, he's in jail. You're going to be loyal. You're going to be loyal. You're going to be a real
Yeah.
one. You're going to hold it down, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, are you going to be a real one? Like, are you going to let me live my life that I have one up, since you done messed something up? Like, do you love me enough to let me be free? You know what I
Right.
mean? And we're kind of changing that narrative. And it makes me very, very happy. It makes me very happy, because at the least, we deserve pure Black joy. Like, we just deserve to
Mm-hmm.
be happy, because so many things have been robbed from us. So that's another reason why I feel like pouring into Black women is so essential, because while we're in this space of invalidation, or in these spaces of invalidation, or not being seen and not being heard and blah blah blah, we see ourselves,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so we have to create our joy. Like, we have to do that. And so
Yes.
we're going to do it, and we're going to do it in an unapologetic way, which is,
Yeah.
again, why I love Fat Women of Color so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and I think that we're also moving into a space where we realize that um like luxury doesn't have to mean spending money. Because in the past that was sort of what it equated to, right? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
thought luxury is like, oh, I have to be rich or I have to have access to wealth. And for some people that's not accessible or even attainable. And so it's like, okay, well, never mind, I just totally opt out of it. You don't have to wait until you get to wealth or money to experience luxury. Like luxury can be, you can define luxury in your own way, right? Whatever feels luxurious to you, whatever feels like pleasure to you, figure that out. And I think you're talking about sitting down and learning yourself, right? And taking the time to, like you said, kind of do that work to figure out, what do I like? What do I want? And making space to do those things. One thing that I've said to clients in the past, that to me, self-care means doing what I can for myself with what I have at any given moment, right? So if you don't have the money, then you don't have the access, what can you do? If you don't have the time, what time do you have? If you have, working 2 and 3 jobs, that's a realism for some of us, right?
Right.
And you might not have the money, but can you take like that 5 minutes to just breathe and close your eyes and say, this shit is for me. I'm going to just sit down, you know, somewhere under a tree, in my car, on the bus, at my mama's house, whatever, go in the bathroom and just say, this is for me. I'm just taking this time. I'm not anybody else. I'm not for people need. I'm just going to breathe it out. And it can start there, just accessing breath, you know. And then you can build up from there. It can be, a food that you like, that you want to spoil yourself with. It can be a lotion that you like, that you enjoy. Like, you can upgrade it as you go along if that's accessible for you. But I feel like we should never deny ourselves pleasure or luxury having access to funding. And the reason I feel like that's so important is because for so long, as a person who came from a poverty background, I felt like, oh, I can't wait to grow up and become dot, dot, dot. And then I can dot, dot, dot. And for me, that looked like dreaming of luxury or dreaming of pleasure, but never feeling like it was close to me, or never feeling like it's accessible. And I feel like as Black and brown women of size, we need to think about, how can I make it accessible? How can I thrift something? Can I exchange something with friends? Whatever it is, but just something that like brings, like you said, joy, giving ourselves access to joy.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really, really good point. And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough,
Mm,
because obviously, there's obviously, a wealth gap between
yes.
not only men and women, but Black and white folks as well, right? So again, bottom priority. So and that does kind of add to, oh my goodness, Ivy. And that is another way that the system adds to the invalidation of oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. Or tells us that we don't deserve it, or tells us that we're not worthy of it, right?
Mm,
That's another way systemically that it
yes.
happens. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Whoo, girl, you up here talking today. You connecting dots for me. Oh man, did you? I don't know if you can see it. My face is real expressive. So
I saw that,
I don't
like,
know if you can see
aha,
everything
happen.
connect whenever you were talking. I was like, oh my goodness. But this is something, because I really appreciate this, because this is something that I need to check personally with the privileges that I've had growing up, right?
Hmm.
And so this helps me, because it helps me understand in a different way how important luxury is for us, for Black women.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that I'm having this understanding. So thank you for
Mm,
that. Thank you for that.
you're
Um,
welcome.
but you're 100% right. And luxury doesn't always have to be what we've defined it as, right?
Yeah.
Like, as with designer and this and that. I mean, it is a luxury to be able to sit down and have a few minutes to yourself.
Yeah.
It's a luxury to maybe have just a glass of wine
Hmm.
after work, or for some people to be able to go to work, right?
Mm,
Not that we should put work on luxury, but
yeah.
some people truly enjoy that, or the fact that they can do that. um so I want I 1000% agree and have a better understanding right now. I really can't thank you enough. Like, what's your Cash App, Ivy? Wait, yo. Oh my goodness.
I think it just goes with what you were saying. Like I was rolling off of what you were saying. Like, just we are just taught systemically as Black women to think that some not worthy of, or they're outside of our reach, and that it's for everyone else but us, which is why certain shows work, right? Because we just sit and watch on TV and it's like, oh, and you are in awe of other people's lives and seeing these other people be happy, and it's like, oh, that's why you get so excited about certain celebrities, because it's like, oh, look at her, oh, she's doing it. But are you doing it for you? Like, how are you making it work for you? And I think that that's where we get into that whole, like, putting people on a pedestal and all of that stuff, because it's something in there that we want. And so we look at it and we have already determined and deemed that we're not going to get it. So the best that we can do is look at other people who have it. And I'm just at the point where I'm like, shit, like, it's for us. It's like, how can we tap into that same joy, that same pleasure, that same luxury? It's intentionally created to be outside of our reach, or to seem like it is.
Right.
It's intentionally created to look like you only get to experience luxury when you have like millions of dollars and when you've worked so hard, because you know why it keeps us chasing that capitalism, and then we don't think about how does it show up
in
now.
Their place.
Yes.
And it keeps people in their place, right?
Yes.
Like the whole idea, it's almost comparable to the idea of crime, right? Like, and not to like totally get off, but like crime, I believe, well, it's a social construct. Like, it's not, there's nothing, the only reason crime exists is so that we can define a wrong and a right, and we can blame these people and praise these people, right? So that is beginning to be the picture that I'm getting for luxury. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's only established to keep people in their place. It's just a big part of man, you and Yesenia, man, every time, man. Every time. Oh my goodness, I love these conversations. You all give me so much to go back and reflect on. Wow.
It's like, it's even when we talk about, and we'll wrap it up because we'll come back and talk about luxury. We're going to come back. But even when you think about luxury brands and luxury clothing, it does not come in fat people sizes. Like, just talking about the fat aspect of it,
And Black people aren't in the ads.
So it's telling us, this shit's not for you. This wasn't for you. This is not your life. You know how hard it is to find, and I've seen plus size people who, I cannot think of who it was specifically, but when they were designing for the red carpet, they were saying it was so hard to find like a designer who could design a dress, because it's just not.
Rebel Wilson. Was it Rebel Wilson and Adele, I think?
It might, well, I know that in this case, it was a Black person who it was. I don't think it was Gabby. It might have been Gabby. Maybe it was Gabby. I don't know. I don't want to. Leslie Jones. Okay, thank you. Yesenia's in the studio. Thank you. Yeah, it's like, it's not even like, oh, you just go shop and buy it. It's I have to search, because it's so uncommon to access it that it's not even made with the intention of you purchasing it. And that's how you know it's created to keep you in your place.
Especially because we all know that money drives everything. So if they're sitting here saying your money's no good here, like your money's not good, not no good, your money's not good enough here, like that's some real stuff. Because money's always the thing that it's usually going to be the thing that, like, okay, well, we got to do this because people are going to stop buying this, or we got to be anti-racist because people are going to stop buying stuff here. We got to give the Black people what they want because people are going to stop watching that, whatever the case is, And so, like, if we're at a point where people are saying like that, like, no, your money's not even good enough to spend here. That's some whole other deep stuff. Like, yeah, that's definitely a concept that we've got to explore more. That's really, really, really deep.
Yes.
That's really deep. And that's going to make me redefine how I think of luxury. So again, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're gonna come back, y'all. We promise we're gonna come back and talk. We're gonna have you back. We're gonna dig into this some more, because we've just opened up the concept and started thinking about what does it look like for fat black and brown women to say I deserve dot 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 self-care, self-love, compassion, therapy, luxury,
All of it.
pleasure, access to help, to feel safe when we walk the streets, to be protected like everyone else, like just I deserve whatever. And I think that that's what we've talked about here today, just like overall. What do you
Yeah.
think?
For sure, for sure. Um, and we do, right? We deserve to be able to take some time off. We deserve to be able to feel tired. We deserve to be able to then get rest, because resting is doing something, as my good friend Taylor Pinkston always says. Um, we we deserve. And in fact, I just posted that on my Instagram. I just posted a post
Mm,
that said I deserve. And
mm,
then the caption said, one, it, two, all.
I
It
love it.
all. You deserve it, and you deserve it all. And so when we think about that, and if we can keep that thought in our mind, you deserve to sit down and take a moment for yourself. You deserve to put some work in to you and reflect on who you are and know yourself. You deserve that time and space. And you may have to fight for it at the beginning, right? You may have to fight to get it, but you deserve it,
Hmm.
you know? And a lot of times I think that fight, whether it come from like people in our family telling us we haven't been around, or people telling us that we're switching up, or our job telling us that they're not liking our perform, whatever the case, um, then that they just simply don't need to be in your space. It's not, they're not invested in your best interests,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? And you know what your best interests are more than anybody. So when you take the time to reflect on those things and know yourself more, you know what you need.
Hmm.
You know better than anybody. Listen to yourself, trust yourself. You deserve to do that too.
Yeah.
You deserve to have your voice elevated above everyone else's.
Yeah. And like you
So,
said, if you don't know, if you're disconnected from it, then give yourself the opportunity to reconnect with it and tap back into it and figure it out what it is.
yeah.
Because it might not be. I know when I read your blog and you were talking about the fact that, um, I don't want to misquote you, but you had you sort of got to a place where like you thought the coping was good, like you thought that was joy, right? And so sometimes we can be living in a certain way or doing certain things and we think that that is joy, and it's like, no, wait, that's coping. Like that's not really like that soul joy, that soul fulfillment. This is you doing the surfacey things so you don't have to do the deeper work. Okay, thank you. Yes, spirit. So you don't have to ask for more from
Right.
the world, but we deserve to ask for more. If we need more, we deserve to go deeper. We deserve to like take that time to figure out what is it that we really want. And that's what I definitely got from your blog when you were recently talking about that.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
reading that. And thank you for telling me that, because you're someone that I've looked up to for a long time. So
Aw.
for me to give you something to reflect on, or a thought piece, like that means a lot to me. I mean, it's definitely like, a stroke to my ego, I'm not gonna lie. But beyond that, the fact that it helps someone like you, of your caliber, like that really, that tells me that I know I'm in the right space and I'm saying what I need to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're the same. We're the same. Angela. So before we go, I want you to tell all the people where they can find you, what you have going on, how they can support you, how they can follow you. I already have know the blog. I've been there, but tell them how they can get there.
Yeah, so I'm on all of the socials. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Instagram is probably the best one. So it's at the Ari Alex, ARIALEX. You can also find my website, www.allthingsari.com. And that's where I do a lot of my think pieces, my reflections and things. And that's one of the things that you're talking about now on my blog. So definitely check those out. I'm also, hopefully, I'll be speaking somewhere near whoever's watching in the near future. So we can all, but you can always keep up with like the new events and things that I have coming up on my Instagram and my website and everything. Um, yeah, yeah, Instagram and my website, allthingsari.com and at the Ari Alex are probably the best ways that you can stay in touch with me.
Awesome. So you all heard it, how you can find Ari and Wa. So if you're listening to the replay, it's in the show notes and in the description below how you can find, and make sure that you support our featured guests. Go, yes, listen, but make sure you go follow them, tell other people what you learned about them, send them a DM, say, hey, I learned this when I was watching your episode, because it matters, because they're sharing their energy, their
Yes.
wisdom, their expertise with us. So, also, yes, on our channel, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. That tells Facebook and YouTube and the interwebs that you appreciate the content that we're creating here. And it also helps it show up for more people, so more people can get this message and get this information as well. All right, thank you so much for being here. This was an awesome conversation. We definitely will have you back to converse again, and we got to dig into this luxury conversation because ooh, it's juicy, and I'm ready to talk about it more.
We might be able to develop a college course on that thing. Girl. I'm trying to tell you, there's a lot going on up in there.
Mhm.
Like the more I think about it, like it's tied to a lot. Like I'm going back and thinking about like what I've read about trauma, what I've read about, just historically, and I'm like, this is, it's getting a little bit deeper. And it's making me feel
Mm,
some type of way about the way that I define luxury. It's making
yeah,
me feel some type of way. But that's what we need to continue this work, right? So,
yeah.
yes, I am all ready and willing to be back here to talk about that with y'all because that's a good combo right there.
Thank you. Heard it. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about it. So be on the lookout. Subscribe so you know when we're coming back. Thank you, Ari, for being here again. Thank you so much for everything that you shared here, and sharing a part of yourself. And everyone who's watching, until next time, peace.